I am your host, as always, David Sago. To my left, we have Thomas Arnold.
Hello.
Opposite Tom,
Don't you start.
we have Ayo.
Hey. Whatever.
Yo.
Chris Dunn.
Baby.
4-1.
Oh, he's back now.
He needs to be traded.
All right. And to his left,
The Ledge.
we're an esteemed company, guys.
South London's greatest.
No. I'm opposite you.
Oh,
Ayo, I said,
sorry.
to, I said to your left.
Yes, sorry.
To your left. We have Azania Stewart.
Now
Hey.
what's
Woo! Special guest. Oh, the wedding happened.
I'm
Yes.
a married woman
Let's
now.
scratch it.
Oh,
Scratch
what is
it.
it? Kind
Legend
of-
Azania Stewart. But
Scratch
Yes.
that from the record, Tom.
So yeah,
I haven't
obviously on
officially
my-
changed yet,
Oh,
so you can call me
what-
still Stewart.
okay.
What's the hold up?
Just working a few things out,
Fair enough.
making sure it's the right move. No, I'm
Dot
kidding.
the I's, cross the T's.
Because I wasn't really. There was two things. I wasn't really sure if again I was calling you Stuart, but by accident or
No, it's alright.
or
I haven't
whether-
changed my passport. or
Oh, whether it was like a business thing, you were just keeping it for sort of public, and then in your
No.
okay.
it's only 4 or
Legals.
5 months ago, so still fresh.
Legals.
I was a bit.
4 or 5 months is a long
But
time
thanks
to
for
sign a
having
piece
me.
of paper.
Can I
Still
get
very-
a brrrap or something?
Oh,
Boop, boop,
shit.
boop.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Not even
Oh,
that. You
completely
guys
messed
did
it up, man.
Daniel,
Thank you.
in it.
Hey.
You got any gunshots? No gunshots.
No gunshot, no.
Gunshots?
Come on.
Why, man? Trying to stay safe around here in these streets.
True. Algorithms.
You only hear gunshots when you go back east after slandering it.
Oh.
Anyway, so we
That's
have a
true.
lot to get through today. We're going to be asking you some questions about yourself and your life and all the wonderful things you've been up to. But I wanted to start at the beginning.
Gosh.
Let's go back.
Way back.
Mm.
Back at the time.
Shouts to Blackstreet.
Innit?
How did you get into basketball?
I played netball first,
Mhm.
and it was when I went to secondary school.
Mm.
And I played a rival school, Greg City Academy, and that's where Dan Bowmaker was. And he
Mhm.
saw me and he poached me, and he said,
You're in the wrong sport.
yeah, come and work out with me."
Mm.
And I tried it, but I was awful. I was really, really bad. So I was 6'4", but I was 16.
You've been 6'4" since you were 16. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so it was a difficult challenge because I couldn't catch the ball, it would hit my face, go through my hands, and I didn't really know if it was for me.
Mm.
So, and I just kind of stuck at it, and so I was, year 7, year 8, so 12, 13, and then by 16, I was ready to make a move to go over the pond, so, and that's kind of where it started, and then I just kind of worked on my craft and got better and better, and that's where it started, yeah.
Okay, so you said you went across the pond. Carry
Mhm.
on.
To America.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a private Catholic school called Notre Dame Academy. I think it's me. Is it my squeaky chair?
Do you know what? It's the table.
Is it?
table.
Yeah, I just realised.
Is it? Okay. I'll back off the table. Yeah, so I went to a private school called Notre Dame Academy in Virginia, and that's where I did 3 years there and played at a very high level. We were ranked top 3 in the country. I played AAU with a guy called Boo Williams, which is also a pretty top team for the summer. So I really just got loads of exposure and got to play
A lot.
a lot. Yeah.
What do you think of the AAU system? It's come under criticism now for
Yeah.
overworking players. They're
Players.
saying kids are coming out with bodies. Kids are arriving to college with bodies of like 35-year-olds and stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of wear and tear.
I definitely felt wear and tear, but I felt it in college too. I think
Mm.
it definitely aged my body.
Mm.
But what they put into it, and it's a whole different level. Would I be the player that I am if I didn't do that?
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was great. You got to travel, you got to meet new people, and just get great exposure to colleges and maybe parts of the country that wouldn't have seen you if you only live in Virginia.
So it's a real gift and a curse, really.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. I have no complaints about
Right.
it, to be honest.
Right.
And then I got a fair few offers, and I took some official visits, took 3 official visits. And then I chose the University of Florida, the Gators.
Did they woo you?
How did they woo you?
Well, the thing is, I really liked the coach, was Amanda Butler, and she was at Charlotte UNC. And so I was going to go there, and that's her alma mater is Florida, and they gave her the job. And so she called me up and said, hey, I know you still want to come to this school, but I've actually got the job at Florida. How do you feel about it? And I said, yeah. But I took my visits. I made sure I, looked at all my options, what was the best thing for me. I took an official visit to Miami University, the U, and I took 2 visits because I was living in Virginia, and my host mum at the time wanted me to go to Virginia, University of Virginia, and I also took Virginia Tech visit, but they had just come off that big time shooting, so I was like, yeah, not for me. Moving on. And so Virginia was really up there. It was a great school, prestigious school. But I was kind of done and over Virginia. I felt like it was time for me to spread my wings. I had kind of conquered it.
Right.
My host
How
mum
so? Why?
I don't know. I just didn't want to sit in the same place. I wanted to, spread, like I said, spread my wings, try out a new city, state. And the SEC was a great conference at the time. The big LSU's, Tennessee's. It was a great conference to play in. And so she got the job at Florida, and I took a visit and said and they signed me 4 years, and they were great. Overall, the school in itself is a wonderful university. And I also got ill my freshman year, and I had a kidney surgery. If you probably read about it. So I hadn't even played 1 minute for them, and I get sick. And
when is that? So like in the timeline, like
my freshman year.
So, but at the start, or did it just? I mean, did you go for practices? Or was it,
I was on campus. Got on campus, got ill, and it was a scary moment because I knew I was sick from right away. I called my mum, and she said, "What's going on?" I said, "I'm going to need surgery." And my coach said, "Why'd you tell her that? It's just kidney stones, And then they come out and say, "Hey, you're going to need surgery."
Oh my God!
But it was a scary moment because obviously my dad lives half the year in Jamaica, and so it was a quick flight for him to Florida. And the doctor looked at him and said, "You have health insurance?" So he's looking at my family and my parents like,
NHS?
Yeah. And so it was a scary moment, but my coach, and I really love her and rate her for this, she said, "No, we got it." And I hadn't even paid.
Oh, wow.
I played, I hadn't done anything for her yet. And so she covered the full couple grand. So, and then I got fixed up and then just got with it and was back in 4 weeks.
Wow. Oh God.
Yeah, it was back. Yeah, 4 weeks. So what they said, this sickness or whatever you want to call it, it was more predominant in older people. And so they hadn't really seen a young person. I was really a guinea pig.
Really?
And so
did they tell you what might have brought it on?
So they said I was either born with it or it just got infected. But I think maybe infected because I had gone to China to the Beijing Olympics to be an ambassador for the 2012 Olympics.
Right.
So I had flown London, Hong Kong, Beijing, back to Florida. And back then I didn't know about hydration, food, and I don't think I was really taking care of myself. So I had literally got onto campus and I fell ill. So they said it was only working 3%, 97%. When they take away the right, you go strong with the left, Boom, got one kidney. But anyway, throughout Florida it was great, 4 years, and then once I graduated, my senior year was the Olympic Games, so I rode right out of college straight into
back to back.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to talk a bit about the college experience. You said you were at Florida with the Gators.
Yeah.
They have there is a rule called Title IX that they subscribe to.
Big time, yeah.
Which means that the male and female sports get equal support, equal pay, equal everything, access to facilities, everything's the same across the board. Did that influence your choice at all?
I didn't know to go to Florida.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it until I got there and realized what we got.
Right.
So that was, I would say if I knew that, I saw it big time. We flew private planes.
Wow.
Yeah, we had
oh my God.
Yeah, so after games we would finish up and ride right up to the tarmac, get on that bad boy, and home we landed.
So I mean, with it's a big world, but a very small community, of especially basketball. And I'm sure you had friends. You were gaining friends from other universities, or at least familiar with them. How sort of were they? How did they know about your experience and the Title IX and how different it was from their experience, or were you aware of the contrast into sort of other universities?
Well, no, I don't. There was nothing, big that made me see the difference.
Okay.
But like I said, I think really the big difference is once you were at school, you could see. But obviously, smaller colleges and universities, there is a big difference. But Florida is a very rich.
And, cool.
It has a great. They love their sports, and that's what I do commend America for. They do sports very, very well.
They pump a lot of money into it.
And my freshman year was the football team won. It was the Tim Tebow era, and they win the championship, so that was even more money.
Skip Bayless is our favourite player.
Right. He's a great, wonderful guy. And then also we were playing well. We cracked top 10. We were 9th in the nation. So even more, the elite Nike, so then you get even more shoes or everything you can think of. It's a dream come true, really. And definitely they do look after you both sides. We shared a facility. In the middle was training facility where they looked after you, and then in the middle was weight room, and then either side, so the women's side had a basketball court and the men's was right on the other side. And they had their championships. Joakim Noah and all them had won the 2 years prior. With
they
Billy
won back to
Dolliver,
back, didn't they?
back to back.
Yeah.
So
Al
it was
Horford.
big time winning across not only football and basketball, but every sport, track, everyone was winning.
What's that culture like? Because I've never been in that type of sporting culture ever in my entire life.
Yeah.
But what is that like? I mean, it's like you said, you've got one sport winning things or being good enough to win things. You've got other sports, you know what I mean? And then you're within the women's basketball, and then you're good enough to go on to win things. Like, what is that like? How is that? Is there a lot of pressure, or is there a lot of encouragement? Or I mean, what is it?
I think picking that school was such a big. When I speak to people, like, not basketball is your life, but you need to make sure that you actually enjoy the school and enjoy where you live. And basketball,
the whole experience.
The whole experience, And I think the Florida Gator experience was phenomenal. We did a really good job of, there was like kind of like school council type thing, but between within the sports teams that came, so 2 ambassadors of each team. Myself was one, and then we would have meetings, and then we would put forward the Georgia game on November whatever, and everyone would come to that game, or the football team would say it, the volleyball, the track, the lacrosse, and so everyone, so then we would the unity of you going to the game on Saturday, I'll be there, and then you look up and you see whatever, you see tennis up there, and so that community style of not only are you a basketball player but an athlete of Florida was tremendous, and I really felt that, and I really enjoyed that part of school, because not only was I basketball, I had friends on different teams and not just in the basketball.
It's funny because it's that experience, it'll stay with everyone in that school like forever, because most of my friends in the US, they've got the NBA team, they've got their, soccer team or whatever, but the team they're really backing is their university team.
Their college team,
like college team,
Yeah,
like,
same thing.
More than I've got Knicks, people from New York that are Knicks fans, but if they went to uni or college, sorry, I keep saying uni.
Same thing.
College,
flow with it.
in Florida or LSU, and they'd be like, well, that's they've
Die-hard
got all the
fans.
gears and stuff.
Yeah.
It's quite crazy. I don't think people understand in Europe how big this is for.
And there's big time money in it, big boosters, there's a lot of money in it. So
that's what
did you ever meet a booster? Did they ever? I'm joking.
No. Women's, that's one thing Title IX we don't get, is there's not much
boosting.
Not in my pocket.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
But they were able to pay your medical bills.
They were, and that's a blessing in itself.
Yeah.
And also Florida was the #1 kidney surgery place. How random is that?
So lucky.
Do you know what I mean? It's the #1 surgery. Like, I had my kidney removed by robot. So so that no hands actually touch me. So look at that. It's crazy. Anywhere else in the world, even if I'm home,
never.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I have to give thanks for, I was put there for a reason.
In a weird way at the right time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you
Wow.
think of all this stuff with the new bills that are being passed in America and certain states to allow colleges
being
to
paid.
pay players? And having been on the inside of one of the biggest universities which had success, what do you think players being paid, or even, I mean, people always talk about players being paid, but for me, the biggest part of the problem is that players aren't allowed to have jobs.
Yeah.
Which when I found out, it completely blew my mind. I was
And
like,
it's a struggle.
You can't
I
even
mean,
earn money.
Because I think a guy, I can't remember his name, but he was playing for UConn and he said he was broke and he was going hungry and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But I would have to agree. I never went hungry, but there was times that I couldn't afford my phone bill. And so I went to the coach and I said, I'm struggling. And they have obviously depends what school you go to, but they have this kind of emergency pot money.
Yeah.
And I couldn't afford certain things, you know, and my family couldn't afford a lot of things. So, but do you have a time for a job? Is the real question.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
I get why you can't have a job, but then going to your question of getting paid of the likeness. You know what I mean? But if you're a quarterback
Signing
or if you're
selling shirts.
yeah, if you're a big time, I don't know how that's going to happen between certain sports. Some people, we had a golf team. Are they going to be popular? Are they going to sell shirts? So how does it go spread across each sport? How does it go across between smaller, poorer schools per se to richer schools?
You see, but what you're talking about there, that question
Yeah.
is the most like un-American question you can ask
Yeah.
in the world. And the whole NCAA system is the most un-American
It's so
system I've ever
bad.
Yeah.
heard. Well, it's kind
Draymond
of,
Green called it. What did he call it the other day? He was pissed about it, wasn't
Oh
he?
yeah, well at least it basically related it to slavery.
Slavery.
yeah. That's
But
what I was
He's
just
not
about
wrong
to say.
in many. If you
Yeah.
Because
actually
they
look
make
deep
a
into
lot
it.
of
Yeah.
money. Like my husband, he played football at Florida State, and
That's why
they
you haven't changed your name yet.
no, that's fine. There's a rivalry in my house every time.
Really, I can imagine.
It's awful. And I think he said like they won a bowl game and something else, and he made his school like 1.6 million or 2 million.
Wow.
Does he get
Off one game.
of one game?
One game.
Do you know what I mean? So
And also, sorry to cut you off, but
It's
like the head coaches themselves get paid.
the Kyler Perry,
stupid
all
money.
of them, they're getting a lot.
Crazy
Even when
money. But-
Billy Donovan was my coach,
Yeah,
my woman's
7-digit
yeah.
figures.
Butler was getting paid, I think, $1 million, which was quite, I don't know about that, but it's quite high paid.
Yeah.
But I think
as well.
me and my husband always talk about if getting paid at the end, like if there was a big check at the end, if you do this, if you work hard, if you show, so there's something at the end for you. But then at the same time, you see there was this big lawsuit with the NCAA and they underpaid us or whatever. And I put my dates in and they owed me like $3,500 or something. Right. And so I'm getting that now, but if I had that $3,500, $4,000 throughout my 4 years,
spread out,
that makes a difference.
I wouldn't have been broke.
No,
I wouldn't be asking to pay for my phone bill or certain things. Do you know what I mean?
May I put a scenario out? So, like you said, the athletes aren't allowed to have jobs or employment, right? What if an athlete were to, such as yourself, going back then, were to, I don't know, create, I don't know, something online or some kind of
start a business,
online, is that prohibited as well? I mean, that's not a job, that's something you've created from the ground up, and it's just, for example, you've got a YouTube channel and you've got your highlights on it. And
this day and age. When I was in school, there were like the social media was
really getting paid off the MySpace.
Of course, but I'm just true.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to figure out like how far does it go? Like,
but how much time do you really have? Like for real, I always, because I mentor some kids and stuff in America, or when they're looking for colleges or even kids in colleges. Is time management and scheduling, and the amount of times that I had to run out of practice to run, and I'm eating dinner on the go. I've put it in a box and I'm running to tutoring, and then I'm there till the tutoring closes at 11, and they're coming in my tutoring room. Hey Z, it's time for you to go, and so it's 11 o'clock. So where would I had time to put in the most work, studying the most work in the gym, doing extra shots, doing weights, getting food on board. You just don't really have enough time to make any, like, have a job or
Do
even
anything on the
be,
side.
I'm tired. I need sleep, you know? So I think it's definitely difficult to have a job if you're at a D1 school and a big time program.
Right.
Well,
So
I've-
it would. Yeah.
Sorry, I know I've seen a documentary on Netflix where I can't remember. I think it was college football where the guy was like, "I'm up by 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And he's gonna go. I think he's got a training session at 8. He's gonna get to school by 9, or it's like 10 o'clock, and then he's gonna go grab lunch somewhere. Another training session in the afternoon. More lessons. Then there's dinner, and then there's probably sometimes it's like a third training lesson. Like, training, you know.
I bet, because
like,
I had 6 a.m. practices.
Yeah.
So you're up at 5:45, 6 a.m. Then you've got an 8 o'clock class.
Yeah.
You barely drag through that. You've got a weight session or individual session. Then you go to a class, have lunch, could maybe pull out a nap, and then you're in full-blown 2 to 3 hour practices, shooting after, running out of the gym. You might have film, scouting involved. Then you've got tutoring. Then my freshman, sophomore year, I had to have 8 hours a week tutoring. So that's hard to fit in itself.
That sounds beyond
And then you've got
full
to
on.
travel. It's full on. It's a full-time job. So I get why pay me.
Yeah.
Pay me for it because you're getting paid.
That's what I'm thinking when you say working, like, having to study and then work as well. It's like, I don't know if it's really feasible, but getting paid for your image.
Yeah,
the
image
likeliness
rights,
to be
the
like, if you're selling t-shirts,
jersey
like,
sales.
if I'm a player and I see like a bunch of other kids on, in the stands with my jersey on, and like, whoa, where's my name on there? You know?
Yeah.
I know it's your jersey, it belongs to the school, but like, that's me.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see how NCAA really figures it all out. You know, because there's always...
They're going to yield. They have to yield.
Yeah.
At some point, they will have to.
At this
Yeah.
point, because too many schools have picked it up. It's just that what we're really waiting for is for like Alabama football and some of the like huge colleges
Then it's a money
buy
thing.
in.
So it's are they going to give up? My thing is, are those colleges, are those universities, and the heads of going to give up that money, like, in order to?
Yeah.
Are
and
you
how much
sure?
is it? How much is
Exactly,
how
like,
much
that's the
am I worth to how much is my peer
That's
worth?
it.
I don't know what the economy
because
will be.
I'm scoring 30 in 10, and that bench player don't come off the bench.
Yeah.
Does she get paid? He get paid?
Again, I think it should. I mean, the only way that makes sense is for it to be like a meritocracy.
Yeah.
If you sell more, you get more type of thing.
Grades.
But either way, even if they are paying the players, I'm sure the university will take some off the top. They're not gonna price themselves out of the like merchandise business or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think where the NCAA will have to yield and those other colleges will have to yield is if you have the state of California where X player can go and get paid and players start choosing those universities over ones where they can't get paid, then everyone will have to fall in line under that
That's a good
umbrella
point.
because all the boosters can fly over there and be like, oh, come over here, we can sort you out of this package and that package. I'm sure it will allow for like Nike sponsorships and Adidas sponsorships and things like that. It will just change the landscape and everyone else will have to fall in line underneath. So you said you went on to the Olympics?
I did.
How was that? The
Best
village.
time of my life. The village life is the village life. There's so many stories about
what happens
them.
in the village stays in the village.
Stays in
I
the
think
village.
so.
No,
I think that's
tell us.
the deal.
We're on a podcast, man.
Yeah, you
We-
gotta
That's
see.
true.
No, it's really, it was great, honestly, because not only was it the Olympic Games, it was the London Olympics. You know, that was my city. No, that is my city. And for all my family members to come and watch and support me and
It's your city. I mean,
whatever.
come on, North London.
She wrote the Hove tune.
What, are you an Olympian? No.
Oh,
All right.
goodbye.
Anyway, as I was saying,
Rest in peace, Harry.
but to have, I feel like the London Games was so well, like the city turned out, you know what I mean? That we did so well on putting on a show. Because I didn't go to Rio, but I know people that went to Rio and they said it was yeah, rough.
Yeah, I've heard
can't
of
swear.
that.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard just from just
Yeah,
watching
just travel
They don't have
and
the
commute.
infrastructure.
Yeah,
Correct,
infrastructure.
yeah.
Actually, the basketball arena that I played in for the Olympics got taken down and put on a barge and was recycled. So I
Mhm.
thought that was
Yeah.
pretty
Mm.
cool. So
Mm.
they played in the same arena in Rio.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Good to
they,
go over there.
which I think is pretty cool.
The what was the name of the arena that got? Shit, I can't remember.
Don't
So
know.
that was supposed to be bought by Tony Parker for our team in France, and
Oh,
moved to
wow.
France.
Oh.
And that was one of the like top 3 ideas they had. Was like, oh, that's cheaper than building a freaking new arena.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was
That
only a shell.
It was a shell.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just a
yeah.
shell,
So I think
and then
that's
they just
what-
laid a floor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
why
it
they
was-
didn't go with it in the end.
Yeah.
It's not like
It's
the
not
Euro League
real.
won't fly with
But
it.
I
Yeah,
kind
no.
of like the idea of, because an Olympic Games is so expensive,
Yeah.
why not
Recycle.
recycle?
That's a fact.
That's
Because that's one of the reasons Greece struggled after the 2000 Olympics.
Yeah.
Was it
They're
2000?
Two-
4.
Many
four.
cities,
Four,
many,
yes.
not just
Athens
Greece.
All of the
04.
cities.
Yeah.
because
Economy
because
went
it's
down.
Athens and it's the home of the Olympics,
Mhm.
Yeah.
they made everything,
yeah.
and the structures were just there rotting basically
Mhm.
afterwards because they couldn't do anything with them.
Mm.
But the economy was tanking as well.
That's
big
right.
time
That was
the
literally at the
time, so it's-
beginning of,
didn't
of
help.
the economy going
Mm.
downhill.
Yeah, but it was great. Really, I have no complaints. It was disappointing, obviously, because if you see it on paper, we didn't win one game, you know, and that looks terrible. But we lost in overtime, I think 1 or 2 to France, who ended
Close
up winning
games.
the silver medal.
Yeah.
And we actually just put our best foot forward. I think we, looking back at it, peaked too early.
Mm.
We were in camp a very, very long time, like 3 months prior to the game. So I think we
Damn.
kind of burnt out.
And you were playing a lot of pre-tournament games, weren't you?
Pre-tournament games, and I think where we also went wrong, we played everyone in our group.
Oh, mistake. Big mistake.
Big mistake.
No.
So we had beaten some of the teams, or played them very, very closely.
Who
Yeah.
in Team
They
GB
scouted.
sanctioned that?
Let's not talk about that. The only team that we didn't play was
God.
Brazil, and that was our last game. And then by then we had lost, and so we were out of it. So we
Yeah.
played Russia 2 times, I think. Before we had Australia in our group, Canada and France, and Brazil and ourselves. So I think learning back in then, I don't think the camp should have been as long. It was hard, but I was in the best shape of my life. I gave up alcohol and sweets and all that stuff, and just when I look back at it, I was so trim. Never again I'll be that shape. But if I was Tokyo is a possibility. Like if I did come out of retirement and play that, would I do it the same way? I don't think so. I wasn't truly happy with how I was doing it. It was the right way, but cutting out all that stuff, you don't realize how much food is happiness. Custard creams.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like you don't realize how much really goes into your mental. And,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
But
So-
isn't that the sacrifice? You can't. I'm not saying you can't.
It
but
is a
like
sacrifice,
that's
yeah.
the sacrifice you have to go through to get to that
where
level.
you want to be?
You know.
I would say so.
Dwight
But
Howard
still.
wouldn't.
Pardon?
Dwight Howard wouldn't say so.
No. I wouldn't say a lot of things about him. But
No. He's trim and proper.
he looks
Oh.
well,
Well, now, yeah.
actually. I think he
Guzzles
looks pretty
the
well.
sweets, man.
Really?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had
I
to,
didn't know this.
Didn't have to lock him out. And
But that
no,
was
it's
like
okay.
Usain Bolt, though. He said he ate chicken nuggets before races and stuff like that, and he's the fastest man.
I wonder
So,
what was in them.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Stop
regular
it.
chicken.
well, there's unlimited food in the Olympic Village. That's one plus.
I
You've
hear,
got
yeah.
24
A lot
hours.
of unlimited things in the village.
Yeah,
I heard.
I wasn't one of them. But you can have whatever you want, whatever time. It was great. I never touched McDonald's till the last. There's lots of different cuisines: Asians, African, British. Yeah,
well, yeah, you got
was-
to
Anything you
cater for everyone that is there.
it was
True.
good. But even when I went to Beijing, they had flown in chefs because the British weren't used to the Chinese food. So they, so their pre-camp was in Macau, and they had brought English food. So, you know, because you have to climatize. And
yeah, they do
you
that
don't want to,
sometimes.
because. But then I've heard of stories that the African nations come to the Olympic Games, and they completely ruin their bodies because there's so much food on offer. So there's loads of different stories of what not to eat. But I did see Tony Parker at McDonald's having an ice cream.
He's
So I thought,
allowed.
do you know what?
It's
If
fine.
Tony Parker's having ice cream,
I'm
but I'm not Tony Parker. But anyway, so yeah, it was great, wonderful experience. Really, really cool.
How did you find the actual games in itself, the matchups, especially at your position at centre forward. I mean,
Yeah.
how did you find that?
It was difficult. I was playing really top players. My first game was Australia, so Lauren Jackson at the 4 and Cambridge at the 5.
Jesus.
And then Susie Bakovic off the sub.
Yeah,
So-
that's before Cam Page became Cam
who
Page,
she is,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Who she really is. So that was a really great team. But we held our own. You know, I was in the press conference that game, and she said, you know, really tough win for us, commended us. It was really difficult, but what was good, through my college career, my coach always let me go in the summer to play with GB. So I would do early summer school. I wouldn't do it with the team.
Right.
So I would do summer A with the soccer football team. And then my basketball team would do the second half, but that was always GB, you know, the Euros and all that stuff. So each year throughout my 4 years of college, I was literally playing 4 years for all
straight
year.
basketball.
Yeah,
Oh,
all year
wow.
round.
What a toll on your body.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I definitely think college, once I got out, so I went straight to the Olympics, and then I signed with a Spanish team, pro. So, but I really enjoyed it. There was no complaints. It was the highlight of my real life, other than the Commonwealth Games just last year. But what great, proudest moment of my life, opening up the Metro newspaper and seeing me there. My dad
Face, yeah.
wheeling it around. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to tell my kids
Of
about this.
course.
So, yeah.
Your kids, I mean, obviously going forward, I'm sure they'll be going to Florida U, right?
We always fight about this. Basketball or football is, if you know if we have a boy, if a girl, Florida all the way, always. But
You gotta
Florida,
say basketball. I would just
I don't
strong
know.
arm him. Say
Well,
concussions. That's
Have
it.
you
but
seen
my-
her man?
I don't.
Have you
Conversation
seen her
over.
man, bro? What are we talking
Strong
about?
arm him. Don't listen to Ash.
Strong arm him.
Yeah, he would
Strong arm him.
pick me up and probably
Um,
WWF me.
Concussions. Man.
Concussions, yeah. I mean, but
Facts.
at the same time, I've had two paintball.
I've had concussions doing all sorts, but that's not the point.
I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. And those schools might not be good when our first round pick is getting ready to be.
Touche.
You know,
Touche.
we'll make the right decision at that
Touche.
time.
Ooh, making serious money as the number one overall pick.
Isn't it?
Number one overall prospect.
All we want is a sideline seat, like courtside seats. That's what we want. Don't give us any money. We just want to be there. We've already talked
Don't
about
put
it.
that in writing. Don't give us any money.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll be paid, you know. But I'm saying just to support us hardcore.
Cool. What would you say is your best achievement? Because you did play at the Olympics. You did win the
Commonwealth.
with the girls.
I probably would say the
Championships
Commonwealth
with,
Games.
in Latvia.
Yeah, that was great. I'm really happy with finishing at Riga TTT. Great coach, great, whole organization. I really enjoyed and was happy to finish there. I would say this when you're getting ready to finish. I said at the beginning of the year, this is going to be my last year. And everyone shrugged up. No, you'll come back. He offered me, the GM was like, take the summer off, think about it. And they were going EuroLeague. And EuroLeague was my last goal as a player.
Right.
I've achieved it all. And EuroLeague I really wanted to do it in the next season, but I just told myself, and I think you owe yourself that. And then if you do it that way, you don't have any regrets, and you don't have the wishes, what ifs, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of what I was worried about is not getting picked up, getting injured, or somebody saying, oh, God, what's she still playing for? Do you know what I mean? So I really made the decision of this is going to be my last year. I hadn't signed up for the Commonwealth Games because we had won Eurocup, we had won all the way the first round. So I didn't know how far we were going to go. So I told
you're a
Chema,
beast. At one stage, you were like undefeated.
we did really well in the first round. So I said, I can't commit to it. And then we had lost, and then we were just in the Latvian league. And so I went to my GM and just kind of said, look, there's this big opportunity for me. Will you release me and let me come back? And he let me go. So I literally flew to Latvia to London one day. Then I took my father to Australia too. And I flew to Australia, played the tournament 10 days, flew right back, straight into Latvian championship. So by the end of it, I was over basketball anyway. But it was I would say, winning the silver medal was a great accomplishment. The highest ever. That will be history. That nobody can ever take that away from me.
Higher than any men.
Higher than any men. Let's not even go there.
We will.
We're, that's what disappoints me the most, I think, is that we win that medal, right? Historic, played amazing. And then Birmingham is the next Commonwealth Games and you don't put the games in. You put 3-on-3 basketball and not 5, the normal game.
Not 5.
Yeah.
So I can't even defend my medal.
It's crazy.
That's
crazy.
Nuts.
That just shows you what Great Britain basketball is, but I don't even want to go there. But that was my most amazing achievement, to walk out, go on the podium. A real great, it's, you hold hands and you see it on TV, but to actually achieve that and to get the hardware was
that moment
unreal.
Will connect you ladies, you individual, the entire staff forever. Forever.
And
your kids,
right.
it will just connect you. That's it. That's just beautiful.
And I was struggling. They were literally like taping me up. The knee was going, the ankle. Like I was really, really struggling. I came out of one game. I looked at my trainer. I said, I'm not sure I can do this anymore. So it was great for me to finish on that note. A great moment in my career. I would probably say my highest.
Did you? So just to go back, you said that the EuroLeague was a final goal for you. Why not the WNBA?
When I was coming out of college, I had a few teams looking at me, and it was at that split of, do I go Olympic Games or do I go try out WNBA? So that was my first slot of trying, and I just obviously picked the Olympic Games.
Fine.
And then also I had a teammate, Joe Leadham, who was in the mix of it and kind of got disappointed and whatnot. And also I had to make a decision of, do I want to play all year round? Do I need a physical, mental, emotional break from the game, or do I try and make this goal? It was never. I think at the beginning it was, but as I got older and maturer throughout my career, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me at all. It's obviously they talk about the money and blah blah blah, but
and that's the issue, especially with women basketball players that who look forward, or who go to play in the WNBA, or who sort of give their time up to get playing in the NBA. They're literally playing 12 months out of the 12 months a year.
Yeah. Because if you make the playoffs in the WNBA, your overseas team has already started.
Correct.
So you roll right out of the finals, roll right into your team.
Yes.
If you play in certain countries, France for instance, they're rolling into May, some of them June, and you
have to be late. You're going to be late and things like that. So.
And then you're rolling into the next season. So for me, having a break and having that, time off and to train and work on my game was more important to me. So
'cause even this season, kind of, I guess part of it was kind of due to FIBA's just rescheduling, just call it that.
The World Cup as well.
But like not even that with the women's game, because Team USA Team USA went into the America's Cup during the playoffs.
That's right. Sorry, not the World Cup. And they took a break. Did they? Did they take a break in the league?
No. They kept going. It was literally. I just when I saw sort of the games flash up or the results flash up on my screen and sort of via Bleacher Report, and I was like, wait, hold on, this doesn't make sense. Why? Or is it? I was just confused. I was really confused.
Why? How can these possibly be going on at the same time?
And I was like, well, maybe maybe these are friendlies, but what is it? I don't get. And then I'm reading further into it, watching YouTube clips, and I'm like, oh, this is actually
tournament.
Happening. A tournament. Well, why is it happening during? It's again, I don't know. You know me, but I have this sort of personal issue where I just believe that the WNBA And basketball's to me. There's no women's basketball. There's no men's basketball. There's just basketball. And with the WNBA, I just think there's a lot of misogyny that's gone into throwing it in the summer. In my opinion, don't get me wrong. I understand. There's with the American system and TV system, you might not get as many eyes during the winter. So I understand that scheduling thing. I understand that, but there still is a history of misogyny, in my opinion, that's gone into it. That's a different conversation in itself. But the fact that you have to, there's so much more sacrifice in the women's game. There's so much more you have to deal with, like 12 months. Like it's nuts. Like men, regardless, men don't have to go through that period.
The off season's just too long in the WNBA.
Too long.
It's just too long.
Weird. It's weird. But is it even an off season? I look at.
No, it wouldn't feel like one.
No, I look at Candice Parker, and I look at I forget the Nigerian, the ones that
Bumake.
Yeah, Bumake. Yes, I love what they're doing, but there's a part of me that feels sort of sad and sorry for them, that it's like their professional career or what it should be isn't really what it should be, if that makes sense.
Well, they're having this big kind of argument now that they want to be paid more, and they're talking about the NBA bench player or referees get more than them. And actually, another story, me and my, I hate saying husband, but Menelik, he talks about lowering the rims. The reason why there's not a big following or whatever, because there's no highlights.
I've heard this.
So I'm saying to him, no doubt the women's game is way better than the men's. Fundamentally, we have got it sound, right? And so how do you bring people to watch the game? He was like, you need more highlights. So if you drop the rim down to 9.5 feet, right, you would have more highlights. But I'm saying you've already got chicks dunking right now, and playing crazy.
Yes,
but he's saying it. Do you want the money, or are you playing for your pride?
Yeah.
And so we always go back and forth about, that's why you have to play. These women have to play all year round, is to make their money.
But men play. Men play for both. They got the money and the pride. No.
Yeah, but he's saying if you bring
you're trying to bring the women's game in line with the men's game in terms of commercial revenue.
Right.
But then that's an emphasis on highlights as opposed to as an emphasis on dunking, if we're just going to talk about dunking.
But he's saying you'll get more people in the building. What I mean? You have more fans, you would have more buzz about the game.
I mean, with like House of Highlights and all of that kind of stuff, the way that the NBA, the way that basketball is consumed today, it's probably the number one sport in terms of highlights in the whole world.
Correct.
So if you lower the rims, his argument is you lower the rims, then you're getting more of those highlights in the women's game.
It's never going to work. Like, because if you're doing it at WNBA level, you have to do it across FIBA, because FIBA is the international standard of basketball.
But what
then
NBA,
you have to do it at
NBA has different rules from FIBA.
Yeah,
their rims are
just trying to sell.
They're out.
I don't disagree with you. You're absolutely right. I don't disagree
There's
with
a
you.
defensive 3 seconds.
I don't disagree with you. You're absolutely right. But then when you're coming to play international basketball, and FIBA, there's more basketball played within FIBA rules than there is basketball played within NBA rules.
That's a fact.
But how when you're coming to play and you have these players that are women players that are
used to playing with different rules,
exactly how they especially when they have to go,
none of that matters.
Especially when they have to go for another contract,
especially when you're getting that bag, when you're getting that check,
bro. Like,
it don't matter, you'll figure it out.
But this is just it.
Brianna
right?
Stewart, she's gonna go from 9 feet to then go back to playing, in wherever she plays.
She wouldn't have to. You just play in the WNBA. If you made enough money in the WNBA,
they wouldn't leave.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere.
Because look at Della Don. She doesn't play overseas, but she does have a lot of endorsements.
Yes.
But she doesn't.
So
I think it's more family issues for her. I don't know her story.
That's true.
But she doesn't.
Sister, right?
But she doesn't play overseas. She stays at home.
Yeah. If you don't have to, you just wouldn't.
And she doesn't. You don't see her game dropping at all. I mean, she won the championship this summer.
Yeah.
So there's loads of different reasons, but I chose to not be a part of it. I did get looks in college.
No regrets?
No regrets.
Really?
No regrets. Yeah. So I'm
Nice.
really happy to say that. That's the way you want to go out, right?
Fair
But even
enough.
like
Absolutely.
I now my new line is commentating basketball, and I went to the Afro Basket, and I was for sure I was thinking I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna want to be out there. It's 2.5 weeks of basketball. No.
Nah, you're right.
No, I didn't.
I'm all right.
I had nails on because I was getting ready for my wedding and stuff. And I went to shoot and I shot an air ball. Right? Never done that in my life.
Just work out the
I can
kinks.
so
man. Just
relate.
working
No
out
on the
the
nails
Just saying.
things, but like on that.
Definitely
Oh
the
look,
nails
there's a
things.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna shoot.
Yeah.
Damn it. I've done that last weekend with my son. Like he does like kids football thing, and they play in this tiny sports hall.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh sweet, like they're just done, they're still there's basketball on the side. I'm going like, shit, no one's looking. Cool. Let's make that
Let's have a
shot.
shot.
Like not even close. Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
my
And
wife
they
went. My
got
wife was like,
caught. Sit down, baby. Sit down.
why are you doing this?
And somebody
Silence
actually
of a
filmed
ninja.
me. Who was on the side, and we got video evidence. But no, I haven't missed the game. Commentated this weekend for the GB game versus Belarus, and I missed them. I missed the sisterhood. I missed missed the friendships. That group, and the reason why they're so successful is just the bond that we have. Just walking in that gym and that building made me really miss that part of the game.
How important is that for young players? Because, like you said previously, your head coach at Florida allowed you to leave. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe there's currently a college player on Team GB that has been allowed to leave. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, there's some are quite anal about letting them go.
Yeah. So how? I mean, what are your opinions on that? Do you believe that it should be? I mean, obviously it's different from coach to coach, from uni to uni. But
I think
what's your opinions on
I
that?
think it's so important because I think the European game is so much better than the American game. And what I learned in Europe. Why are you smiling? Because you agree.
That's
I agree. I'm right here with you.
It's something we talk about a lot. I think
we agree
together. Is that I mean, it's a side note here, but at the moment, the level of play in the NBA, I don't think it's what it used to be.
Yeah, because the rest of the world is catching up. Let's call
not only that, but I think the top 10, 20 players in the NBA are absolutely amazing athletes.
And the top 10 right now are Europeans, just to let you know.
Talk about it.
And it's like somebody was talking about LeBron James.
Well, who was the MVP?
LeBron's European?
No, but who was the MVP? Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Who was the rookie of the year?
Nigerian.
Luka.
Luka,
Who was the defensive player of the year?
Facts.
Gobert.
All right, that's 3 Europeans. So that's all
MIP
I'm going to
was
say.
Siakam, but that's not a top 10.
That's Siakam. So I'm just saying, the people who won. I'm just going off this.
Won the awards,
Won the awards.
Yeah, non-American.
Or international.
Anyway,
yeah.
sorry. Carry on with your.
Anyway,
sorry. Just had to make a point there.
It's fine, that's all. And I was just saying, it's like I think so. Somebody was talking about LeBron James, and it's like he didn't say. I can't remember who got interviewed, but they went the old Jordan. LeBron, who's greatest, blah blah. I'm like, well, but they went, yeah, LeBron is the greatest athletes that we've seen in basketball. I went, yeah, exactly, athletes, as in body, strength,
jumping, running, speed,
stuff like that.
strength,
yeah, sure. But like when I watch him play, it's not graceful, it's not beautiful. Like, yeah, he'll throw the no look pass and stuff like that. And it's like behind the back
technical
pass,
aspect is
like the way that his shooting form. I'm like, and I'd rather watch Jordan all day. But so saying that, like, and I was saying is like, I watched a lot of EuroLeague basketball this season because my team's in it more than obviously I've been watching more games than last season, and even if I'm watching a random EuroLeague game, I'm like, whoa, this is really good. Like
it's
in terms of
basketball.
ball movement and spacing and stuff like that, and defense, like they actually play defense.
But because they're allowed to.
I can't watch an NBA game anymore.
They're allowed to.
The rules are different.
The rules
are different.
And that's
But
why
I
I think
think
USA struggled in the World Cup.
Exactly. But I think they're pushing the marketing thing so hard in the NBA, like you were saying about the highlights, and how important that is, and that they're pushing the products. Selling jerseys, selling all the byproducts. But in terms of game itself, like I watched, what was it I was watching? I think we were talking about it. It's like who made that stupid shot? Oh, it was winging. So it was the Wolves. That double OT game. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
You just,
So it was Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Nuggets.
mm-hmm.
I was like,
what are
some
you
of
doing?
the poor
Yeah.
decisions, and you're just thinking it's like. And again, that led to another interview. I think Pau Gasol was in Spanish media saying
Yes,
some
he
of the
doesn't
shots that now
recognise-
they're not taking.
Yeah.
They're high risk shots and decisions that are,
Mhm.
again, high risk decisions. If you would take those decisions, those shots, those passes 10 years ago, you'll get benched. Like
Yeah.
even if you made the shot, your coach would go like, "What was that about? What are you putting up from
Got to bench him.
like from the logo?
Mm.
Like you And nowadays, this kind of shooting and high risk play is just being rewarded. And I think it's nice in terms of highlights. That's what I keep saying with James Harden. It's beautiful as a highlight, but I can't watch a Rockets game. I can't watch him play because he I know that as a teammate, he'd probably drive you nuts. Yeah, he'll make the bucket that make you win, but like you'll be.
Not only does he
Fucking pass the
travel,
ball. But and again, as a highlight thing, that's perfect. That's fine. But in terms of actual team basketball, the last NBA team I really enjoyed watching was the Spurs. The last
but they play a
championship team.
European style under Popovich.
Yeah,
And
that,
who
that can be done.
they've had the Tony Parkers, they've had
Yeah.
the players to play that style of basketball.
But
so
Yeah,
And coaching
it's
as well.
right,
it's coaching, but it's the NBA players can do it as well. It's
Yeah.
not. I think it's just because right now it's going in the direction I don't really get.
Well, that's why I honestly enjoyed going overseas to play, because it was a whole different style, a different speed. I was playing big time veterans that I wouldn't play at college. So I had great experiences, and I think it really made me smarter. My IQ had to work faster, and it actually even hurt in the NCAA first round. I had Brittany Griner I was guarding. And we were at the press conference before the tournament happened. What's the plan for Brittany Griner? What are you guys going to do? And I said, to be honest, I'm not worried, because I've played Lauren Jackson. I've played, like some big time Russians that are just as big and better skilled than her, So they gassed it up. And what does she do? She comes out and dunks on us.
Physicality. Is
You know what I mean? But in general, what I'm talking about is I wasn't scared or afraid of her, because she was a big footer and she was long and stuff. But did she have the skill set that I had played, or I had, had to defend or get buckets on? I knew I could play her, so I wasn't worried. But had I had got that experience if I didn't play overseas? No. You panic and you get all stressed out, and she makes you fear. Is why she plays. You know what I mean? You don't want your shot blocked.
Intimidating.
She didn't intimidate me. I felt good about it. My prep was good. But if I hadn't left, and if my coach hadn't let me go, would I have been ready for that game?
Right. And that kind of takes me back to what I brought up earlier about the AAU. AAU versus the European system, where players play professionally from however old they're good enough. With having that experience that you just spoke about, do you think, I know you didn't have any complaints about AAU, but do you think it would benefit young people to be playing professionally as soon as they're able to? Or
I think
like a college system, an AAU system,
really
more
just
beneficial?
depends. Yeah, I think it depends who you are. If you're a homebody person, then you shouldn't really go. I always told people, at least try it for a year, go to America, because they do have the whole, I think, as a whole brand and it is a different style of basketball, which I think you also need to learn. The physicality of it, the banging and the style of the game. But then in Europe, you do learn just so much, and there is a real veteran thing, like you learn, like you idolize, or you look at that person I played with a lady who was 40 when I was playing in Australia, and her body and what she was doing and how she ate and her lifestyle, and I learned that from her. And I learned so many different things from Europe and the vets, where in college, would you really, you have the seniors, but are they truly living a professional and
still
grown
teenage
up
kids, right?
Yeah, still kids.
So,
where you're playing with adults who have families, who I don't know, have kids on the sideline, and you know what I mean. So I think there is definitely pros and cons to both sides. That I got the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah.
Then you've got kids like Luca. Like he's been
Who?
playing. Luca.
Sorry, who?
You don't know. You'll find out this year. Anyway, he's like he's started being pro. I think with Madrid. I think
Young,
he was 15 or
wasn't
16
he? Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And he like you can tell that he got into the NBA. That's his second year. He's already dominating. Like the first year, there wasn't a massive
Yeah, because we've been
gap for
playing
him.
grown-ass
Like
men.
he's playing pros
Yeah.
for the last 4 years. So it's
Yeah.
like,
It's only going to get worse. It's not going to, like, for the NBA I'm talking about, it's like,
Yeah.
I was talking to someone today that I was saying that this is almost like a pre-season for him. Like next season when they get the third player for their team to kind of take the pressure, a little bit of the pressures off himself
Porzingis
and Porzingis, that's when you're going to see him flourish, because he will just have to, it'll be scoring and playmaking, not necessarily having to figure out or understanding.
40, yeah.
Correct. Like this is great. I love it.
I mean, he's amazing, but is he an outlier? Because that's the question you have to ask. Like, I'm sure if LeBron James grew up in Europe, he would still be amazing. He grew up in America. He was amazing. I don't know if we can take the best example from a system and say this is what the system produces. When
no, absolutely.
But I can
players further
appreciate
down.
how Europe does get them in young. Like I
Mm.
think England can take a leaf out of that book of producing younger players, and you know what I mean. I think overseas do, even Australia, they have this academy type thing. As soon as they
Yes.
see you,
The
one
stars
sport, boom,
thing,
they're going.
yeah.
I played a season in Australia, so I got to see that. You know, the French, the German, I think we could really take, you know,
100%.
you know, and even like for Spain, for instance, the Barcelona, you have the Barcelona Football Club, and right next to that bad boy, the basketball club.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
and it's the
Yeah.
same element, the same, you
Yeah.
know, morale,
Facilities, infrastructure, everything.
yeah. And then that's how you come up and I think, imagine if we had that. Football teams have enough money. If
Yeah.
Chelsea had a Chelsea basketball team or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
we
There's
have
a-
it there.
There's a
It's
rugby
just-
team doing something similar, isn't
Saracens,
there?
is it?
Saracens.
Yeah,
They're in
Saracens.
trouble
Oh,
right now,
really?
actually.
Yeah.
They got in trouble for doing some underhanded stuff. But
Oui.
they're doing...
He's the bad influence of this podcast. I mean, he knows all the dirt.
yeah.
I'm seeing that just thrown
I
out.
don't
Anyway,
drink tea, but
you know the tea.
I know
Yeah.
the tea. Yeah, they have facilities for different sports,
Right.
and their rugby academy, first of all, is the best in the country, and then they've supplemented that by bringing in other sports, and they'll do things. They're more of a like community team, where they will integrate other sports and other activities all under their umbrella because they have the facilities,
Yeah.
and they're seeing a lot of success from it. And yeah, I just wish more teams, more.
True.
The country needs to change the culture around sport.
I think what the UK government missed something quite big after the 2012 Olympics. I think 'cause the men's team did really well. Like I was obviously for France, but when I was watching the Team GB, I was like, damn, there's something there to build on. And then they went, we're cutting all the funds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can go away.
Because they only fund things that win
Win
medals.
medals.
Yeah.
But that makes no
It
sense.
just
Like
makes
that,
no
you
sense.
You can't run this. You can't run national sports like on results. Like
Because you need, for you to get results, you need to
you
put
need
in,
to invest.
Yeah.
So I
Correct,
think
yeah.
there was a step that got
Grassroots
missed there, and that was crucial as well, because that's something I didn't know coming from France and like starting playing basketball here as well. Like I didn't know that all these young kids that were playing. It's like there's a huge.
I think it
hunger
is
for
the
the game.
most played sport
Yeah.
in the country.
Yeah.
But
On that, sorry not to cut you
the-
off, but this past weekend, should I say, the Glasgow Rocks, they've
Be Cardiff, no? Oh, wait. Women's or men's?
men's team. They signed this 16-year-old kid called Callum Mortimer, and he made his debut at age of 16. Now, again, he's okay. No Luca at that age, but we don't know.
There's potential.
With
It's got-
potential,
yeah.
that's a start. Again, I don't know how far. It's just early days, but at least they're making the kind of footsteps into doing it the right way. But again, it's the BBL. So,
but do they have an academy? How did they find out about him? What league was he playing in beforehand? All of those things. Like he can play in the BBL at 16, which is great. We haven't seen it for a long time. But then him playing here at 16 isn't the same as college. A kid playing in Spain at 16.
Have you guys heard about the 13-year-old Lithuanian girl that just got signed in France by Tony Parker?
Didn't she play up?
She played with the national
team
at 13.
It's crazy.
And so Tony Parker managed to pull that Tony Parker move anywhere.
Yeah.
Come with us.
So he signed it?
Yeah, he signed to our team now. So she's
going
to be in the academy. Because we built an academy over the summer, so now it's the first round of sports students or whatever you want to call them, that actually started this year. So
it's amazing.
She's now going to be in there. I think she already started. I can't remember, but I thought that was pretty good that the infrastructure is in place for her to
even have an option.
Big things,
the option,
which we don't have, I don't think, at all.
No, and that's why I think there's something that got missed here in the UK. Right. You don't need the whole bunch of money to get it started. It's I don't think you do. If Tony Parker can do it, like he's not a billionaire, like he's got investors and stuff like that. Yeah, sure, but like you need, I don't know. Maybe it's up to the like UK players that made it in the area, like Lord Dang, to maybe get stuff started here and trying to get.
He does his own
thing as well.
He does his camp and he tries to give back and gives.
And doing that, that's fine. Yeah, that's great as well. It's just maybe there's that next step maybe to be looked into, which is
because I feel like, even it's been 10 years I've been playing for them and they took our funding away and blah blah blah. But it's like, okay, we don't win. You take it away because we don't win medals. Okay, we win you a medal. Do you know what I mean?
Now what?
Now what?
There you go.
And that was really...
Put your money where your mouth is.
Right. And you've probably seen online, embarrassing, but it was where I was at that moment, is where I have this crying session. It wasn't
embarrassing, it was passion.
Passion.
Yeah.
But they kept asking me, and it was, how do you feel about the money and blah. And I felt a need, and I felt like...
compelled.
Strong, to push we need money back into, and then I just started thinking, after that interview, I just thought, you know what, we just have to show them enough of this on TV, BBC, me crying, blah 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 blah. Let me show you where you should put your money, and that's been our MO from probably just after that tournament, and where really we are now. Here we are cracking top 10 GB's number. You know what I mean? We get 4th in the Euros. We win the medal. I'm showing you what we're about with no money. Getting paid pennies.
Could you imagine?
The check that we were getting doesn't even cover a meal. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's where we went from. We were, as players, pushing, doing this and going here and tweeting this and talking this and crying this. At the end of the day, we just said, bump all that. Let's show you what we're about. Let's show you the hard work, the dedication. Obviously, we had a change in coach, which was definitely the biggest thing for us. And then we just started to show you where the money's at, and that's probably one of my other proudest moments is speaking up and also getting GB where it is. People know who we are when we rock up.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and it's just, piggybacking off that point and the point you made earlier, Tom, about you need the money to help breed the success, to help grow the game. I've had conversations with my cousins. They live in Sweden, and over there, women's sport and men's sport gets paid evenly.
Yeah.
I think they're doing something similar. Is it in Australia?
Yeah, I think Spain also might. Oh, I don't know, but they get paid very well. Even their younger under 17 teams, their youth teams get paid well. So it's there.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening, Team GB.
Yeah, there are people setting an example, and it's like people say things like, "Oh, but no one watches," or no one goes to the stadium or things like that. And you've
But
seen.
is it well marketed? Like
Exactly.
even
That's
this,
my point.
even
Yeah.
this game that
Yeah,
I went
yeah.
to this weekend is the worst I've ever seen it. So obviously there's
Where
been
was
a lot
the marketing? Where was the
Where was-
promotion?
Who
There was
knew about
nothing.
it? Because I've never
What did
walked
Kappa
in.
do?
I've never walked into that building that empty.
Mm.
Every time, and I've always complained because I always wanted the London game, obviously being from London. Why didn't the women ever play in the copper box?
Mm.
The men got a copper box game. Where was our copper box ticket at? You know what I mean? But I do commend the North. They really, they have
Yeah.
their John Amici Centre, and they've got all their stuff there, and they really enjoy basketball. So I really do appreciate the Bellevue arena because they do show up and show out. But this game, it wasn't even half one side. I've seen it both sides rammed round the sides because we're in town. This game, I don't know who's running that marketing, but
God
I'm not
knows.
impressed. So I'll voice that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's just it. Like, not enough is being put in.
Yeah.
And if you need to give people a platform, give women a platform, women's sports a platform.
And it's
And
really
put
the
it
biggest
in front
time.
of people.
It's really the biggest time for women right now.
100%. Oh, right now.
There's this whole movement, whatever you want to call it, but taking it down to basketball, this era when we look back of the Brianna Stewarts, the Tarasis, the Parkers, the Maya Moores, the Joanna Leadhams, the
There's
Temi
a lot.
Fagbenleys, the Zania
A lot
Stewart,
of
whatever you want to
amazing
call it.
players, Yeah.
It's a big time market where
Right now, yeah.
the game is actually being played so well
Yeah.
and so correctly and a
100%.
beautiful thing. Like you like to watch beautiful basketball.
Mm.
Women's basketball is probably at its all-time
Yeah.
high
I
right
agree.
now. For the
100%.
American WNBA, they don't market it very well in my opinion. And then here in GB as well. So, and it's a market that can be capitalized
100%.
Yeah.
How do you feel about with the WNBA being included into 2K? What was that? What was your first thoughts when you heard about it? And then have you seen it? Have you?
Yeah.
Have
I thought
you
it was pretty
experienced it?
I can't play 2K to save my life.
Neither can I.
I think it's too many buttons.
Bosh, stop. You ain't never played me ever in your life, but
No, you know what he does? He put it on, like, what do you do? Like, you just let it run. Like, you're never actually playing. Like, I see you're
You let the
Don't mind
computer
He's on
play
PS4
you?
and it's like,
I'm just making that VC, baby.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
making
I
that
know, I
VC.
Get
know.
your points
I know.
up. I'm not a big fan. I can't play it. But I did think it was pretty cool to include them. Also, I saw Temi was on there. Temi Fagbenley.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
on the game, so I
Yeah.
thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I traded for her.
And fly the flag high, and that's
her and
dope.
Canada I traded for.
Super dope to see that. So I'm happy with it. I think, like, the marketing point of view, you've got to somehow push it. You've got to keep us relevant. So I think it's cool. I like it.
Did you hear? Because I when I heard about it, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's dope. You get to play as them. And obviously the game sells like crazy. So it's a bunch of new eyes. And a lot of people get into basketball through computer games today. My issue with it is that you can't actually play with the women online.
No, correct.
That got
Weird.
And I was like, why put them in if you then can't
Absolutely.
Be that
just
person.
play? Yeah,
Is
play.
that-
It's
play
really
the game.
restrictive. It's just like it's
Almost
almost.
doesn't make sense.
I think
you
it's
can play
weird
as
'cause
every other set of teams in the game,
Yeah.
except for the women.
I
And
think
it's
that
just
when
another sign of how they give with one hand. And
they had
Take
Euro,
one
another.
EuroLeague teams as well a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But I think you could play online with it. So I don't know if it's, I don't know. I have no idea why this is. Maybe it's again rights.
It shouldn't be.
Maybe the WNBA.
Yeah.
they've got the money for it. Whatever.
No, they can.
Whatever
They
the
can.
problem
they,
is,
they-
yeah.
they can buy the rights to use the players' images in any way, shape, or form. But I don't know if they bought that. It's always very complicated. There's always some BS on some level. So surely it's nothing technical because
Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah.
But I like it.
It's really
Hopefully,
limiting.
it's just the first year, so maybe the next
They improve
Yeah.
on it.
2K you can
Play online.
play the links.
Yeah. A female career mode. How about that?
Yeah.
I'll give you that game for free.
Mm.
All right. You wanted to ask about the WBBL deal.
Yeah, I was just so Man, me and my issues with the with the BBL. So a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, let's call it maybe
last week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure how much I can talk on it, but
I mean,
I'll try.
So my issue. So there was a report that came out that stated GB basketball. Right. Yeah. The British Basketball Federation has issued a 10-year license for the WBBL to continue as the professional platform for the female game in the UK. Now one of the first comments on there, actually I think he's deleted himself.
That says it all.
Cancel.
He's deleted himself. So one of the first comments on there was basically what has the WBBL done for women's basketball, and I, in my my passionate self, I went into one.
Did you go off?
Yeah, I went into one.
Oh God.
10 bloody years. Are you kidding me? You Muppets.
So I went into it. So
I kind of want the Azania live read of Io's message.
Yes, please.
No.
The South London accent.
You Muppets.
I mean, I haven't had I'm aware that you were somewhat frustrated. It was a frustrating experience playing over here for yourself.
Yeah, I actually played a couple months in
Yes.
the league. I played for Barking.
Right.
Went my rookie year going pro.
Mm-hmm.
I left my team in Spain and was waiting for a new team.
Yes. You got you got injured and then you
just didn't like it.
Okay.
I was out of there.
Right.
So I left, and then Mark Clark was coaching Barking, and I played a couple months there.
Yeah.
And I started up yoga because it was stressing me out. It wasn't for me. Just the professionalism, what they want the game to be, or the standard, excuse me, I found it very difficult. I felt like I was screaming and shouting, and because where I was,
your standards,
my standard, and I felt like, well, why aren't you doing this or where it, and I just have to relax, and found myself like, I can't blame these girls, you know what I mean? So that's why I started up yoga, to find my zen. But it was a good experience for me. But I think I'm glad it's there. And there are some people, I know an Australian old teammate has come over, and all teams kind of have a overseas player. I think it's got a long way to go. It's not really marketed well either. I know they had a BBC game here and there.
Yeah, here and there.
Yeah, it's difficult. But then again, how can you expect a league to be good or of any level when your national team isn't being funded or being promoted or being pushed at that certain level? Then you look at the teams. I don't know.
Should it even be connected? Because that should be an independent professional entity, whereas the national team is independent from that.
Yeah.
So
did they even stop? I think they kept playing while we were having European breaks, because we play in February and we play.
I think they still.
November.
Yeah.
I think they played on without their best players. I don't know. I struggle with it. I don't really. I'm glad it's there. Because at least some of the home girls can stay at home, train, some go to uni, and there's some great programs. I know Steph Collins gets women to come, and they can, figure out some payments for their masters or some sort of get them in their higher education, which I think is excellent, to still play the game and kind of get paid in that way. So I think that's a really good movement. Do I think the league's at a high standard? Would I stay? Am I getting paid enough? It's all different things. Issues. Now I feel like the men's game, obviously the guys who were going overseas with Justins and all them, they're staying home, and now they've managed to get some money around it. But I don't know, I struggle with it, but I'm just happy it's there.
How how is your relationship with any of these guys? Do you? I mean, our basketball community is really small, but still, how familiar are you with the Justin
who?
Robinsons and the
He was at my wedding.
Matthew? Oh,
Yeah, he's actually my husband's good friend.
Really?
Yeah, and Ashley Hamilton.
Yes.
They were. Ashley Hamilton was one of my
Good dude.
groomsmen.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Great
say
dude.
no more.
Yeah,
Small world.
so
Yeah, small world. Yeah.
I'm well.
Yeah, well
you know,
versed.
with them.
Yes.
And their experience
yes.
over here.
Yeah.
Do you know like Matthew, Bryan, and Manning,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth?
Yeah, no,
Right.
all of them really, and most of them have played GB. So
Yes, of course. Yeah.
and then Menelik always watches their games, so I watch them with him.
Ah.
Where pretty much every sport is on my TV,
Yeah.
and we've got the basement done now that we can have like multiple games on at once. So pretty.
I want to put you on a spot, or shall I just leave that
Go
to
ahead.
like
What?
the last thing?
No, go ahead. Because if I don't like it, I
I
just say no
mean-
comment
Yeah.
and
At
walk
your-
out.
At
Drop
your
the mic.
Step on his custard creams.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
at your peak.
No.
All of
Yeah.
them.
I mean, who can't touch you out of those players like Justin?
What do you mean? My
like
peak.
Matthew.
I think-
who can't touch you. Who are you taking out? Who 1-on-1?
One-on-one. I never play one-on-one. You mean, am I a man playing these people, or am I myself playing
Yeah,
them?
you're yourself.
Because if I was a
No,
man
that's
at my skill level, my IQ, I'm
Dominate.
Dominate.
I'm nice with it.
Oh, okay.
My IQ is out of the world, but I really like Ashley more and more now that he's obviously part of my family
Yeah.
per se. I've really watched his game, the work that he puts in, his
Amazing.
body.
Amazing.
He
he had a
really-
great season last season.
Wonderful season, even with injuries and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
eavesdrops in some of their conversations and what they talk about in their minds and how they're trying to better themselves. I really have a lot of time and love for him. And I think his game is wild. I'm not a one-on-one type of person. I've played Menelik 1 or 2 times, gave him a few buckets, and was actually winning. And then he LeBron James me, and he's
Started
a big guy.
jumping.
You've seen him, and he won the game.
Power
But
game.
I'll take the wins where I could take the
Got-
wins. But
got-
all of them guys are great. They've put in a lot of
Gotta
work.
take a charge, man.
Yeah.
Take a charge.
I'm not taking no charge. Are you mad? No. I'm good. You can have it, baby. But all of them guys have put in a lot of work. They've all played overseas. They've had their fair share of success. So I commend them and really look up to them. But that whole one-on-one game, I'm not going to talk any trash because I know them well.
Fair enough.
It's a team sport.
Right. I'm a team
Stop.
player.
Just
I'm not
stop.
a
Look
one.
at him.
I'm
Just-
not a one.
just
He
stop.
grows his beard now. He thinks he can
Are
You're
you
a bad
mad?
man.
He thinks he
Are
can
you
grow a
mad?
beard.
Are you mad? Do you
Step
know how
back.
long I've had this
Nice
beard?
Step
Thank
back.
you.
Quite a nice beard.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well groomed.
Thank you. Got
You
it
and
shaped up
James.
yesterday. That's what I was like when I got home.
Anyway, we're playing on Saturday. You know?
Yeah, I'm looking
Don't
forward to
forget.
that. Oh,
Where are you
don't
guys
forget.
playing?
where are we going?
Where are we? East somewhere, I
Whitechapel.
think. Yeah,
What,
Whitechapel.
basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Just a little,
Have to
just a little rec centre.
blow off the dust off my shoes.
We don't need
coming?
commentators.
I mean,
you
you're
wanna-
invited.
If you want to come out of retirement,
Yeah,
then
it's a free
different
I
ball
invitation
game.
haven't
out
played
there.
in a very long time.
I haven't played in 2
Me
years.
neither.
You're
yeah.
retired as
My
well. but
patience
it's gonna be
don't work.
painful.
Fetching my
Oh, don't.
I hear
no
excuses
Yeah.
already.
Wait,
man.
hold on. Wait, how can you?
I was
Hold on. Don't do this. Don't do
I will
this.
still destroy you.
Fine. Don't do this.
It's fine.
Why is it excuses from me, but these guys?
This is
I
an
haven't
elbow.
played in 2 years.
You know,
I've literally.
I have a steel plate in my arm, you know, so they
I
won't-
fractured
they
my
won't let me-
my forearm. I fractured my
When
forearm
was this?
can't get through the metal detectors.
Right.
years ago.
2 years ago. About 2 years ago. Yeah.
All right.
My ACL are gone. You know, that's 20 years ago. I'm not talking about it. But from a couple of weeks ago.
I'm gonna
But, you
dust these dudes up on Saturday, boy. I can't wait. You're welcome to come, Whitechapel.
Yes,
we
please.
can send you the details if
See
you want
what
to
I'm
come
doing
down.
on Saturday.
It's
Busy lady.
no big thing, just a little rec game. Not even a game.
Well,
either.
that's what you think. It's
Um,
gonna.
Speaking of basketball, I think it's a basketball podcast still.
Is it?
The NBA.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah,
Been
man.
following for a long time. Do you have a team?
No, I don't have a team. I really truly appreciate the game. So if it's a great game, I'm here for it. Don't boo me.
Not gonna
I
get
don't
any
watch
great
the
games out of
balls by
Irish
any
balls.
chance.
I mean, you're welcome to join me on
why
the
would
Knicks.
you?
I mean,
not
we're
the Knicks.
we're not-
No
oh.
thanks. You guys ride hard for the Bulls, the Knicks, the Lakers.
Yeah.
I
like,
tried to produce them a bit better and try and get to,
This
try
guy
and
just-
keep
this-
it down.
No, I don't.
Stinking
I like
glory hunter.
I like to watch players and how they play the game and they see. I do watch a lot. I haven't watched any since I've been home. I've been home 2 weeks, so
No
I'm
worries.
2 weeks behind NBA and NFL. So,
All right, New York's about 20 years behind.
but
I
NBA,
actually agree with that.
I do
So
like
that's
it.
fine.
I do like it.
That's the standings if you're wondering.
Who
Okay.
who you said you like to follow players?
Yeah.
What are your favorite players to watch? Or
I'm a big fan of post players, as
of
I am.
course.
So I love
Cantor.
Steven Adams. I like to watch Giannis.
Cantor's good on the post. What do you?
No, I mean he's
Such a
alright.
random
He's
No,
okay.
he's good on the
Yeah,
post.
I know,
he is,
I know.
he is.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, or however you say
Mhm.
Nigeria.
I like the post players. I like the Porzingis. I like the Europeans, to be honest.
Rudy.
I like all the. I don't like Gobert. That French softness. I'm not really here for.
Now I wish I had gunshots.
I'm not here for him, but I do appreciate his skill.
He did
yeah.
cry last season.
That's all right. I'm a fan of men
wrong with
showing
you?
emotion.
No, what's wrong with- no, of course, there's nothing wrong with crying. I'm a
Well,
crying,
then don't
but
bring
Oh, now
out.
you want to
no,
take
I'm
it
just
back.
saying because he didn't, to get selected for the All-Star game.
Yeah. But yeah, so
It's
I
fine.
really, I'm here for the post players. I really enjoy that.
You know, Porzingis can't post up though, right?
No, I'm okay with that.
Basically.
I like his style.
No, we don't. We don't like his stuff.
I'm a fan of Porzingis,
No,
and I
he's good.
played in Latvia, so he's a star there. Who else do I like?
Nikola Jokic.
I love the Joker,
Mhm.
and he's in Denver,
Denver,
and
yeah,
I
of
live in
course.
Denver,
Yeah.
so I do like to watch him.
What's the culture of basketball there? Like, yeah.
Yeah, they got a nice arena.
Yeah.
Downtown's super nice. They got the Pepsi Center for the NBA.
Yeah.
They also have the Rockies baseball. They got the Broncos NFL, and they got an ice hockey team. So they go hard for their sports there. Really impressed by them. So yeah, I do ride for Denver. I'm happy that they made because the year before that they got kicked out of the playoffs by like the last game.
That was a good game.
Yeah,
Timberwolves.
was it Timberwolves?
Yeah,
Timberwolves,
2
yeah.
seasons
I
ago.
thought it was OKC, yeah. And then they make it. So I'm impressed. I don't know if they're going to be any good because I don't think they picked up anyone. I feel like they were just missing a bit
Really?
something.
They are.
And now how strong the West is.
So
I'm
this
not
is the
sure.
thing. They're my pick for coming out of the West.
That's how you know it's not going to happen.
I
Stop.
don't know.
And the reason why is because I've said it once, say it again. There's a thing for, especially in basketball, for sort of a continuation and for teams that don't have to include new players. They've got their core.
Yeah,
and
and you just keep building on
and
that.
keep building on that and the players that they've had to add, for example, for the
Jeremy
most
Grant
part, Grant
the only
and
major into.
no, what's his name? Michael Porter Jr. Is it Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah,
he's a rookie.
he was.
Yeah,
with
he's a
the team.
rookie.
Yeah,
So
but they're not playing him.
Yeah,
bit
Much.
parts.
Yeah,
He's coming back from injury.
I don't really like his style, but anyway.
But my thing is that continuity that there's something to be said about that.
The main core of the group,
yes,
like the
like,
old Spurs.
of
Like
course
they had
they don't. They don't learn. They don't have to learn a whole lot about each other. At the same time, I just think that will grow. It's not. It's not
Well,
where it is
still
now.
early in
but
the season,
yeah, it's very
so
early.
we'll
but
see.
I think that
I wouldn't say having them coming out though. I'm not sure.
really.
I'm not sure about that. Who will make the East and the West or whatnot? But
finals.
I enjoy it. A lot of people don't watch regular season NBA. They only start to watch playoffs, which I can kind of see. But the last couple of years for me, it's been really exciting regular season. And just with so many trades and whatnot, and it's just been really
There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
It's
a lot of
yeah.
excitement. So I definitely do watch it. And the Thursday night in America is the TNT crew with Charles
they're
Barkley and
hilarious.
them. We stay up late watching them, just
Yeah.
crack jokes, and I think they've done such a good job in letting them be free and just talk however they like and what else is going on. So that's always fun. So yeah, I watch pretty much most of the games.
They're really creative over there. The other week, so you said you're 2 weeks behind.
Yep.
I think it was Friday night.
Yeah.
The Blazers played the Spurs, and Popovich got himself kicked out of the game.
I love Pop.
He's amazing. He got himself kicked out of the game, and Becky Hammon is his assistant coach.
Love that.
But after he got kicked out of the game, Tim Duncan seemed to take on the role of
Head coach. Really?
And I was looking at it, and I just thought, but that doesn't make any sense. Like he's literally joined the bench this year. I know he's around the team. We don't see him,
maybe
but he's
just
around
help
the team.
him. You know what I mean? Like maybe he just knew. But sorry,
yeah, I mean
finish your question.
the reason they gave, the justification they gave, is that Tim Duncan had scouted the Blazers. It was his job to scout them.
Yeah.
So that's why he was doing most of the talking and huddles and things like that.
Right.
Becky Hammon was the one with the
clipboard.
clipboard.
Yeah.
But
because she won a summer league with them the year before, so she has her right.
She's worked her way up from the back bench all the way up to now lead assistant. I feel like they kind of missed an opportunity to
let her drive the ship, or whatever you want to call it.
If they got rules in place that whoever scouted the team,
there's no. I don't think it's a rule.
Not
nothing
an NBA rule, but their own internal.
I don't think that was it.
It must
I
be.
I think it was a decision that was made rather than a rule.
I'm here for her being a coach though, and NBA is starting to hire more women.
More and more women. Yeah.
Now, I think because I watched that video we all shared, but I think knowing Pop, because he likes to be the first to be like at the forefront of trying new stuff that's not been done.
He integrated Europeans into his
European stuff. But first. When they were going with this in that video, it was like, well, was it sexist maybe, or like was it maybe they wanted to do something? They went there, and I was like, knowing him, I'm sure he won't like. He's okay with it. Like he's okay with. I don't think he actually cares that much, but I think the one thing he would care is that I don't think he would like her to have started her like
pro career
as
under
he's
those
getting kicked out. Yeah, as in like I like you to do it, but I don't want you like if I'm sitting because I'm ill, I can't like I'm sick. I can't coach tomorrow. You take over. I think that's how he wants to do it.
Right.
Not like
that's a fair point.
I think that's how I'm kind of reading it. I don't think there was anything malicious with it. That is like,
no, I don't think so.
I agree. She's supposed to be number 2 on the bench, right? She's up there, but I don't think he wanted her to come in
that way.
That way.
Right.
So.
Are we going to see? When are we going to see a head coach?
Women. I think she might be the first.
She'd be the first. I think so.
But what about the women's national side over here?
I don't like playing for a woman.
Really?
To be honest.
Why not?
I think we're too emotional. I think we hold on to what happened yesterday. Just speaking from experience. I feel like men are very like, you messed up on that. This is what we're going to do. Boom. And the next day you listen to that and you roll onto it. This is obviously my opinion. So I really enjoy playing for men, but there have been some men that are, can I swear on this?
Yeah, of
course.
Bitches.
Fuck yeah.
No. I've played for men that have been super emotional and not really enjoyed my time. But overall, I prefer to play for a man. But I think she has great respect. Obviously, she coached them in the summer league, and I don't know. I think each to their own. She's obviously put in a lot of time. She knows her stuff. She does her scouts. So good for her. I definitely see it happening. There's a lot of women coaches in, but it's only in the NCAA men. There's no women coaches there, is there?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think there's
none.
I don't know.
There was I wanted to find it, but I can't remember who it was. But there's a head coach in the women's sort of NCAA, and I don't know what university she's a head coach of, but it was at some point last season, and she lamented, it was during a press conference as to why women should be the only ones allowed
to coach women. I think it might be Notre Dame lady, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And again, I can't remember the entire spiel, but she gave a lot of really valid points, and I think one thing that stuck out to me was just saying, if women aren't getting the opportunities in the men, why then are we stopping them getting the opportunities coaching women? And it just I totally understood it, but then it brought me back to the British game, like where are they?
Yeah.
Like I'm looking throughout the WBBL.
Yeah,
where are they? Is there encouragement? Like, for example, like now you've retired, or other retired players, are you encouraged to? Are you brought into or ingratiated into a community of coaches, or whatever it might be, to kind of get you to that point that you might want to consider being a head coach? Like, is there a culture of?
Well, I don't think everyone's built to be a head coach.
Fine.
I think it's definitely. I think FIBA does a good job. There's they do this thing after your career. There's this kind of, I can't think of what the name is, gone right now, but you can go to this kind of school and they teach you other aspects of the game or things after playing. So that's pretty cool. I know 2 of my teammates are on that. I don't know, but I also think it is important to have male and female coaches on a team.
Yeah.
Because some people relate to different things. As sometimes you need a father figure. I definitely had a father figure coach at Florida who was, who you could go to and speak to, or if my head coach was a woman, you could speak to him on a different level. So I think it's important to have both men and female. Why is it so like, oh, we need this? And I just think have a mix, because every person needs a different thing and going through a different emotion or experience that maybe I can't tell my head coach, but I can tell my assistant coach. So I'm free to women, men, whoever, coaching, as long as you can do a job. Can you, my Latvian coach, he was amazing. Drawing up plays, there were so many smart things. He would draw up a play at tip where I would hit the ball, my point guard would back screen my player, and I would get a layup. 2 points on the board, and it's 3 seconds off the clock. So he was so smart in getting players easy points, but socially awkward as hell. I couldn't talk to him. You know what I mean? He would be like, and he meant well, and the love and the caring, and I could see that, but I couldn't chop it up with him.
No.
You know what I mean? But then the assistant coach was, a little bit bants, and then, and then you've got the different things need different. So
it all balances out.
Yeah.
How was that a contrast to your time in Spain?
My Spain time was awful, actually. My first team, I didn't like. I was in a really small city, and it was my rookie season. And we trained in this cold concrete gym type thing, and our training sessions were awful. Like, we came in, he was like, shoot 200 shots and leave, and he would just sit there on his phone, didn't really do anything. And I was like, this is not what I want for my first year. I don't want to create these bad habits. So I got out of there, and then I went to a team, and he really mentally messed me up. Like, just would pick on me for no reason, where really you're not a stats guy, but I wasn't. If you look at my stats, I'm not a big, I'm not scoring 20 points. I'm not scoring 20 rebounds. That's not who I am. You get me on your team to make your team a team. I'm a team player. I will get us on the right road to where we need to be. Our morale, our message, whatever.
Incredibly efficient, though. You were really, really efficient.
Thanks. Well, I tried, but you know what I mean. But that wasn't who I was. That you weren't bringing me on your team to get 20 points.
No, there's a lot of hidden stats. My on defense, tip the ball out, and that's
and
the
hustle.
Turnover. Somebody else get the turnover, but you tip the ball, and that's not counting in stats.
And that's who I was. If I screened my player and she hit a 3 or whatever, I'm going sick, because I didn't shoot threes. I can shoot threes, but I don't shoot threes in a game. I stay in my lane. If I'm shooting threes, who the hell is rebounding? I stay in mine. That is my role. So my role was really a leader as a captain.
I think talking about Rudy Gobert earlier, I think he's kind of pushing to get some sort of stats out of a screen that leads to a basket.
Screen assists.
But I think that's not even really
tracked.
recognized.
No, they're tracked.
They're tracked, but they're not really recognized.
No one recognizes
exactly.
them.
I think. Let me rephrase that. So he's trying to get that recognized in the NBA, right?
There's so many weird stats in the NBA.
That's what sometimes. That's why, and those stats. That's what I'm saying. I'm not a statsman. It's like, that's why sometimes I think the NBA is pushing the marketing thing and that sensational side of basketball too much, where it's like Doncic now is like 42, 11, and 12. And it's like, well, it's the only, it's the only player under 21 who's driving on the left-hand side of the road with one hand, with no music, that scored 40 points. We're like, who gives a shit? It's this kind of shit. Have you not seen that in the NBA?
Yeah,
it's
of course.
Yeah, he's the only guy with blue eyes. It's like,
I'm sure it's crazy, because I'm sure if he would have had a couple of like highlight dunks, it would have gone, viral. But
so that's why I'm saying I'm not like there's so much you can tell.
Yeah, just the stats point of view and who I was in the Spanish league. I played this season and then I was actually brought back. I tore my calf that summer, early in the summer, my only injury, and I got back from that. And he called me and said, "Hey, do you want to come back?" And I was kind of worried because it was September and nobody had really called for me to come, and I said, yeah, there was a couple of girls from the season before on the team, let's do it. It was probably the worst decision that I had made.
Right.
Just called me out for loads of stuff, like I would catch the ball low post, 1 foot in the key, one out. But what are you gonna do there? What do you mean what I'm gonna do there? I'm getting buckets here. This is my favorite place to be. I've worked for this place early, and he would always put me out on blast, and I was so uncomfortable. And so for me, it's not, I take my job very seriously. Not that I'm gonna be laughing, joking, but I keep the morale and the day light and fun, and there'll be jokes and there's laughing, and defense is my favorite part. I never liked offense. Defense is where my money was. You know what I mean? You could always guarantee that I was going to be on a rotation or a block or whatever. So I used to get off on defense, but even then it was difficult. It was definitely a lesson in my career that I struggled with. And that's why I'm so happy I finished in Latvia, because he really saw who I was on and off the court as a leader, he commended me loads for that. And then, like I said before, put me in situations to succeed that I didn't even have to do a post move or get money. Like I would have a back screen, boom, easy 2 points. I haven't done nothing. I haven't even caught the ball and had to work for my points. So I've already got 6 points with back screens and that first play that I talked about, without even having to do a post move. So it really is the coaching. And that guy had so many, after we all broke off from that team and we all went our separate ways, all succeeded like crazy. We all went to different Eurocup, Euroleague teams. And we all killed it separately, and that he had that. And what I think men coaches don't see is that women are we want to please you, like as a father or a lover or whatever. Like we want to make you happy. So if you tell me to jump, I'm how high?
Can I give you my wife's phone number? I think she needs.
Yeah.
Wow. Moving.
But
on.
you know what I'm saying? Not that part of it, but just
in general.
But you know what I mean? You're devoted to it. So if you're telling me I need to screen here, boom, I'm going to screen. That's why I think women's basketball is so beautiful to watch, because we do listen, we watch the play.
And execute.
Yeah, execute. And there's there's egos, whatever.
But
he had that. But because he shitted on us and really destroyed the emotional side and everything, that we just were just like... so
couldn't play for him.
Yeah, I couldn't play for him. So that was probably my worst season. And he was playing me, bringing me off the bench. I don't really care about starting. I can start, I can come off the bench, I can do whatever. But playing me in the second quarter, I'm not with it. You're not putting me in the second quarter. I deserve to be put in at least 2 to 3 minutes in the first quarter. There's no flow, there's no momentum. I was watching this girl, she plays for Europe, plays for Egypt. She was at the Afrobasket, and he didn't play her until the second quarter. And I was quite proud of myself, because this is my new thing. I went into the press conference after the game, and I was sweating and my heart rate was going crazy. How am I going to answer this question? And so I put my hand up and the mic comes, and I was like, good job, coach, but why didn't you play your best player till the second quarter? And he's like, well, her defense is terrible and blah, blah, blah. But I'm a true believer of you have to feel the motion, how the game's going. You can't be. You're cold. What buckets you getting sitting on the bench for over what after the game gets tipped up? You're sitting on the bench maybe 12, 15 minutes, maybe more.
Probably more.
Maybe
probably more with the
20.
stoppages.
With the stops, and you're going in the second quarter, and you expect your best player to get buckets, and then you're mad that she ain't playing defense or she ain't.
Of course not. You're not going to play defense.
Right. Your mind is messed up, and also she's tired because she's getting buckets on the offense. Sometimes you can't do both.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's something that that's the flip side of having players that like playing the whole first quarter.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day. I know there's certain players. Kevin Durant, I know, likes to play the whole first quarter.
Really?
I know AD's doing it now for the Lakers.
And then there's some players who.
And then there's some players who you can get them out early, like Kawhi only plays like the first 5 minutes when he comes out of the game.
I ask for subs. Not a lot of people do that either. I'm tired. Get me out. Give me a blow, and I can say, "Hey, I'm ready," because I'm at that experience enough, and I'm a vet enough to say, "Hey, I'm ready to go in." But a lot of people don't want to ask for a sub. Some people struggle. The mellows coming off the bench or understanding, but. For me, I feel like coming off the bench was kind of the best sometimes because you can see how the rhythm of the game is. How is she defending? How is she getting buckets? You know, you could watch, and I feel like sometimes there's the anxiety and the adrenaline is so high starting the game because, you know, that 3 minutes you get, that second wind takes forever to kick in because you're so emotionally high. But if you come off the bench, boom, all right. I never used to try and score early, just getting up and down, nice rebound, and now I'm into the flow of the game. So
right?
Yeah, so I didn't care if I started. Then I know what we had to start quick and urgent and blah blah blah. And if I came off the bench, I could feel the game as it went along.
Yeah, you just fit in where you needed.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Any other business?
Any other business?
Any other business? You touched on not missing the game. Oh, shall we do the mental health bit? Sort of touch on that.
What are you trying to say?
Well,
I know I said you were coming here for a podcast. It's actually an intervention for IO.
No,
yeah.
Come on.
So he's
I feel like with the way the Bulls are playing,
and Chris Dunn.
Really. We're doing this.
We thought we needed to bring in someone who you respect to just tell you to sort of just calm
Change
down.
your team.
Switch to the Knicks.
She's from North London.
Not the Knicks. Sorry.
It's just, relax a little bit. Calm down.
But you're not even happy with your Lakers right now, are you?
Oh, I'm happy.
Oh, okay. Better than the Bulls on the Knicks.
I'm saying.
Really?
Custard creams.
Yes, custard creams. Yes.
They're the custard creams of the NBA.
Yeah.
You love them?
Right.
Actually, no, we're not. The Knicks are the custard cream.
Yeah,
no, we're not.
The
The
Warriors
Knicks.
are the custard cream right now.
How do we feel about the Warriors?
I feel for them. It's my sister's local team. I feel for them.
Yeah. Well,
A little bit.
I feel for them because they made that massive move and they should have never left Oakland.
Yes.
I think taking the Oracle away from them is something special. It's like the Raiders now moving to Vegas.
Yeah.
There's nothing like those fans there. I think
else.
it was too much of a change, even if they had all the big boys back. Leaving that arena, it's super expensive to go. I think it's like 40. It's something
it's
crazy
big.
grand.
It's totally sold out, and
Yeah.
they're making crazy money off. Yeah,
I think that alone was a big change. Not only losing, your KD and now your Curry and Clay. I think
They may have lost sort of the soul of their fan base or part of it. Anyway.
100%. But they're making money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be back to the. I don't know.
I don't think
I'm not
they
a
will
fan.
be.
They're not making the playoffs.
Healthy. I mean,
They're
no,
not
they're
making
not.
the
They're not.
playoffs.
They're not making the playoffs. But like this time next season, when everyone's healthy, in inverted commas, everyone's back. Let's just say, and the team doesn't change as much.
But you,
I think they don't have a bench anymore. I think that's why they're a championship team.
they don't have a
because
third best player.
yeah, but even past their best players, when they had the Iguodala's and they had the Livingston.
Livingston,
Their
West,
the West.
Barbosa down the years.
Right. So their bench was so solid that it's like playing USA. When I play USA and you're subbing Candace Parker for Taurasi, and the wave don't stop, and that's how the Warriors were.
Can we just on that point? So previous episode with Nathan, where we kind of slightly touched on Toronto's scouting and their sort of how they raised the bar for themselves with regards to scouting and things like that. Just recently, I heard a commentator, color analyst, speak up Toronto's sort of newfound sort of scouting and things like that, and how they've done well with their bench and so on and so forth. On that point, that the Warriors don't have a bench. Is it? Because I was just about to say, or maybe they just can't afford the players that could bring them a bench. But is it that versus? What about that versus? It's not the poor scouting, poor sort of recruitment, should I say? Like
and that was what my point was going to be before. Like you've called out a few coaches saying that now we're going to see how good of a coach Steve Kerr is. We're going to see how good of a coach Luke Walton is.
Oh yes. Yes.
I think now for the GM over there, Bob Myers, it's going to be important that he shows that he can make the right decisions and put the right people in places. Because I did say they had none. They had Kendrick Nunn.
They did have Kendrick Nunn.
He was on a 2-way and they let him go. And now he's starting in Miami and doing very, very well. So
that's going to hurt.
And also part of the reason why their team is constructed as it is now is because they made the trade for D'Angelo Russell, and that meant that they hard capped themselves.
Correct.
So they could only buy a certain caliber of player, bring in a certain caliber of player. That won't be the case next year. So we'll see what they do with their
money.
With their money. Are they gonna New York Knicks the ting?
No one else can do it the way we do it. So I don't think they can do it as
forwards.
well as us. They can try.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do next year. But then they just get certain players. Like, could Green play anywhere else? Like
New York.
He's not playing there right now.
We touched on this
anyway, moving on.
Moons ago, didn't we? Like, you said.
Like, because their main core guys, they've had them from kind of rookie young and built them to where they are. But then, I mean, Toronto, I commend because just last season I was cussing them saying, why have they cut their coach when he's the coach of the year? You change that and then you add Kawhi Leonard and you're a championship team, which is also a Canadian team that won, not only Europeans.
I loved it.
But winning, not Americans either.
I loved it.
But they made that move that just put them over the edge. But yet again, they had a good bench. They had a Gasol coming off the bench. They had
the depth was amazing.
Fred
VanVleet.
Yep.
But this is the thing: recruitment, and their coaching and
development
course.
That's the other side of it.
Aside from their,
you can't separate. In their case, you can't separate the two because it's one thing to have these players. It's another thing to actually take them from being what they are to what they can be. And you look at Siakam's development.
Of course,
3 years ago,
getting paid $1 million.
Yes, again, I don't disagree. You're absolutely right, but again, it goes back. I believe it goes back to my point at the Warriors. Again, it's poor recruitment. Yes, they don't have the money to go out, but I think it's more so poor recruitment over not having the money to spend.
We'll see. We'll see. They could develop them. In another couple of years, we could be sitting here being like, wow, remember
Marquise.
Remember the first time we saw Eric Pascal play?
Oh, but he's balling though.
It's weird, seeing the Warriors now. I look at them, I don't know anyone. I couldn't name you anyone who's actually physically on the court. I can't tell you anyone.
Kai Bowman, baby.
Who's that?
Scouts pick.
Not me.
It's always Tom. We had an episode on it.
I wasn't there.
All right. I think we're gonna wrap up there. So thank you for listening to the Grit and Grime basketball podcast.
Wait,
I'm
sorry.
He's got something.
I'm sorry. We do have something.
Your actual.
Yes.
Hold on. So, and we're gonna keep this.
Nah, it's not your choice.
What I wanted to do is kind of to say thank you. because it's obviously not easy for women in sport to go through what go through what they've had to go through, especially with the climate and society and so on and so forth, especially in a sport that's so marginalized as basketball has been. But and then you drill that down to black women in sport. It's so difficult for black women in sport to make anything really. And I'm so inspired by women such as yourself and Benny Bonsu and so on and so forth. That I just want to say thank you for what you've done for British basketball, for your sacrifices, and we've got something for you.
Gosh.
Bear with me.
Why didn't you guys invite me more often?
Can we turn off the lights? Have we got the candles?
Because you can't. Yeah.
Stop it.
We're on a very limited
really,
budget, so we can't.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to say thank you very much.
Wow.
We've got a card.
Speak closer to the mic.
Just want to say thank you very much for...
These are blocking my face.
Put them on that side.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Thank you very much for what you've done, and we're wishing you all the best going forward. Belated congratulations on your marriage and your nuptials, and we hope it's not the last time we see you and your influence in the UK, and we can't wait for see what you got going on next.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Made it very easy, and I'm really proud of you guys, what you're doing and pushing
Thank you.
The boat out. So I will definitely be back. I don't know when.
Yes.
Are you
But
going to top
awesome.
this, Ayo?
Yeah. But these are really sweet. Thank you guys. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you. So with that said, thank you for listening to the Grit and Grime Basketball Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, share, all the good things on whatever platform you listen to, especially Apple Podcasts. Reviews. That helps us get out there. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit like on our videos. Any feedback, send it through to socials at Grit and Grime Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yes,
Thank you for coming, Azania.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Can't
So
wait to hear this.
So from me, David Sago, Thomas Arnold,
Hey, yo. Oh, wait.
Ayo,
Custard cream, South London,
yo.
custard cream.
and Azania.
Boop, boop, boop. No.
We're out. Bye-bye.
Hey.
See
Bye.
you later.